Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Major Robert Grenville Anderson Pasha, who was born in 1881 and died in 1945, after qualifying as a doctor, joined the Royal Army Medical Corps in 1904, and from which he was seconded to the Egyptian Army in 1907. He was promoted to the rank of major in 1914, and in the same year, he became Assistant Adjutant General for recruiting Egyptian Army. He retired from the British Army in 1919 to take up the post of Senior Inspector in the Egyptian Ministry of Interior, and was later appointed as Oriental Secretary to the British Residency, Cairo. He finally retired on pension in 1924, but continued to reside here in Cairo, where, among other unofficial activities, he was interested in Egyptology and, of course, in Oriental studies, forming a large and valuable collection of Islamic domestic furniture, carpets, and other objects representative of the arts and crafts of the Near East. And his collection is actually here in this place in Beit al-Kritleya, or Guy Anderson Museum. And in order to know more about it, we're very much delighted to have with us Mrs. Ibtesam Mahmoud Abdelwahed, Director of Monuments Affair, Kritleya House. Good day to you, Mrs. Ibtesam.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Ibtesam. So, in 1935, also, and at his own request, Guy Anderson Pasha was authorized by the Egyptian government to reside here in order to keep the Committee of the Preservation of Arab Monuments situated at the entrance of the famous, of course, Ibn Tulun Mosque. Mrs. Ibtesam, give us more insight about this beautiful old Mamluk house.
Yes, let's talk first. Let's talk about the two houses. Our museum consists of two houses. The first house, built by Abdul Qadir Haddad and returned to 16th century, turned Agri, and second owner. The first house returned to Ottoman period, but this house we are here returned to Mamluk period. There are two owners of two houses.
Right, and they are connected by a bridge, correct?
Yes, by bridge, and now we exposed inside this bridge crosses return to Coptic period.
Yes. So tell us more about the origins of the house. When was it built, by whom, and the people who lived here?
Yes, as we talk about, the first house returned to Abdul Qadir Haddad, Mamluk period, and the second owner, he was the first owner of the house, Abdul Qadir Haddad, and the last owner was Amna bin Salim. But this house, which called Zainab al-Kritleya or Kritleya house, built by Muhammad ibn Salim al-Ghazar, he was the first owner of the house, and the last owner was a woman came from Crete Island. Then we called the house with Kritleya house. But the last one who lived inside these two houses was Guy Anderson Pasha. He rented from the government of Egypt the two houses from the government.
All right. Can you tell us more about Robert Grenville or Guy Anderson Pasha, and what does his story tell us? I mean, he obviously had love and passion for Egyptology, so we want to know more about him.
Yes, in my opinion, Guy Anderson, he was an unique man. His collection, he was also a collector, and he also the doctor of King Farouk, his family of King Farouk. He collected many collectors on many monuments, antiquities from different countries and different civilizations, which has an Oriental style, and furnished the two houses with his own collection in 1933 and in 37 at 1942.
And how did he fall in love with Egypt until the end of his life? What made him decide to finally give up his collection as a reward?
Guy Anderson interested in Egyptian civilization, and he preferred, after his retiring, he preferred to stay in Egypt. He wrote in his notes, which exposed and preserved in Victoria and Albert Museum, that he loved Egypt very much. I considered Egypt my second country or my second home. Then we know that Guy Anderson loved Egypt very much, and he, after his leaving, he paid to Egypt about 500 to serve the house after his leaving.
Yeah, and how was the house viewed or regarded before Geir Anderson?
Yes, before Geir Anderson, the Egyptian government in 19th century make expansion about the area of Ahmed Toulon, started to make an expansion to the area of Ahmed Toulon Mosque and remove a lot of houses, but they left the Kretlaya house because it's considered one of the remarkable examples of Islamic domestic architecture in Cairo.
The museum, Mrs. Ibtesam, is noted for being one of the best preserved examples of the 17th century domestic architecture left in Cairo, and also for its vast collection of unique furniture,
Yes.
very Islamic
Yes,
style.
Geir Anderson, as we told you, he was an unique man. He collected from different countries, from Iran, from India, from Turkey, from Syria. Then we have many objects, different civilization, different culture, as magic well potteries from boxes of jewelry. Many objects returned to different countries.
Yeah, when reading the map key about this place, I noticed there's a Persian room.
Yes.
And there's a
Damascus room,
Damascus
Indian room, Chinese room,
Yeah.
Persian room, Pharaonic collection, Pharaonic room, celebration hall, many rooms. Geir Anderson furnished all of these rooms with himself.
Wow. So what are some of the remarkable possessions that you have here at the house?
Yes, as
Or
we...
the two houses, as you
Yes,
said.
okay. There's many objects here, masterpieces, as we see, pottery jars, stand of pottery jars, magic bowls, and also purse chairs, wedding chairs, legends of Kretlaya. Many beds returned to India, and also big boxes, swords and weapons, moon, crocodile instruments. Many objects.
When I went inside, before we started shooting, Mrs. Ibtesam, you told me about the room that houses the water reservoir,
Yes, in Sabil room.
the Sabil room.
Yes.
Tell me more about it.
Inside Sabil, a special house, because we had a Sabil inside our museums, or inside the house of Kretlaya house. Then let's talk about Sabil. The first Sabil in Egypt was Zahir Bibers. Sabil Zahir Bibers in the strait of Bain al-Qasrain. And Sabil consists of two places. The first place under the ground called the tank or khazan, for storing the Nile water, and the hole which walk inside it called غرفة التسبيل, or the room of tasbil. Okay, and the man who works inside this room was called مزملاتي or الساقة. He must be strong, must be clean, and he was deal with the people. Okay. Then he takes the water of Nile and put it inside the tank, and anybody want to drink water for free, he can give him the water, the cold water from the tank.
Right. And we understand that there are a lot of myths, a lot of legends,
Yes.
a lot of stories,
Yes.
Interesting, scary, happy,
Yes.
About this place. Can you tell us about some of the myths and the legends about
Yes,
this
okay,
place?
I will tell you. The narrator or storyteller, or the storyteller of all of these legends, called Suleiman Kretli. He was an intelligent man, who was a liar man, and he told Geir Anderson about all of these legends, such as the serpent, benevolent serpent, the magic well, Moses talking his God, Ahmed Toulon built his mosque, Sultan this well, Sultan Watawit and his 7 daughters. Many legends about the area too. He warned Geir Anderson, don't leave the place.
And all these legends are documented on copper plates.
Yes,
Up
yes,
there,
okay.
and they are engraved, specially engraved with the stories.
Yes,
and-
by Abdulaziz Abdu. He do all of these plates. And draw all of these legends on the plates, and master of these copies, master of all of these drawers outside the house in Victoria Albert Museum in London.
Okay.
John collect all of these legends in a book called Kretlaya, Legends of Kretlaya.
Okay. You mentioned Bain al-Qasrain a while ago, and as soon as you mentioned it, I remembered the Naguib Mahfouz trilogy, and filming here. How do you view the Egyptian cinema playing a role here at the Kiritley?
Yes, as there are many films shot here as, let's talk from the old, so, Sultan Almaz Abd al-Hamouli, Nazir Salah al-Din, Shafiqa Mutwalli, Tutu Nabut, and Gabat Qal, The Spy Who Loved Me. Many films acted here,
So
shot
those
here.
mashrabiyas we were seeing in some of the films you mentioned were here, actually.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Behind us here, there is a water well.
Yes.
Water well here, and this is the archive hall.
Yes,
Tell
and
us.
this archive hall was unstable at the past, and this well has a story or legend about him.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, make the story about this well, or legend about this well, about called magic well or Sultan Watawit. There is a sultan called or king called Watawit, has 7 daughters. Each daughter of his of each daughter can sit down or sleep on a sea on a bed made from quiver or from gold, made from gold, and anybody want to take a coin or treasure, any piece from the treasure, the king Watawit give him one, instead he fall down in the well.
And this is the well that is in the reference of the legend?
The legend,
This
yes,
one.
and there is another legend about this well. Anybody is a lover or instead of girl or man can look inside the wall, inside the well, during 13, 14, 15 in the months, can see the picture of his lover.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Very. So, and Mrs. Sam, we understand that the place is divided into a salamlik and haramlik.
Yes.
So a place, salamlik for the guest house and
Yes.
for the guests, and haramlik, of course, for the family.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that, or the rooms in the salamlik and the haramlik?
Okay, any house returned to Islamic period Mamluk or Ottoman can consist of open court and many 2 stairs. The stairs inside in front of us lead us to Haramlik, to lead us to Salamlik, which consists of lun chamber or summer room and winter room, and the other stair lead us to Haramlik. As you see, as you told us, family residence.
And what are some of the historic incidents related to this place, Mrs. Ibtesam, related to Beit al-Kiritliyah?
Okay, let's talk about, we told about Salamlik and Haramlik. There is many rooms inside the house, as we told you, as a pharaonic collection, a pharaonic room, celebration hall, many rooms, Damascus room, Syrian room, Turkish room, Indian room, Chinese room.
What about the doors? I noticed that the doors
Many
have
doors.
so many doors inside the house.
Yes.
What's the reason for that?
Many
And their style too
yes,
is very unique.
I know. Door for women, and door to the camel. Anybody, the camel came from special door to be near to the Hasabil. Okay.
The visitors.
Yes, and door also for the visitors. Okay.
And where do you get most of your visitors from? I mean, the nationalities, most of the visitors that come to you.
Different visitors
From
came
all over?
from all over the world, especially American.
Yes.
Yes.
Over there is a special place, Ro'a al-Kiritliyah, or the splendor of al-Kiritliyah.
Splendor of Kisley.
Because our viewers can't go inside. What does it contain?
This room became after Gary Anderson from 4 years, since 4 years, since 4 years, and all the collection was preserved in the drawers, and my director showed it to the visitors, pieces of doors. And desk to the sheikh, and many bubbles returned to Iran. Most of them returned to Iran, and also many sensors returned to different. Almost of them returned to modern period.
I was very happy in the morning to meet with a tourist from Vietnam. And yeah,
Yes.
and actually, I thought she was Japanese or Korean or Chinese or Malaysian, but she was from Vietnam. So I guess this tells us that we are getting from everywhere. We are getting visitors and interest.
Yes, from everywhere. From everywhere.
From everywhere. And of
Yes.
course, we welcome the Vietnamese dear guests and guests, our dear guests from all over the world. Now, Mrs. Sam, this old Cairo has been regarded by UNESCO since 1979 as a World Heritage Site.
Yes.
Old Cairo in general, and of course this is part of it.
Yes.
So, how do you see the evolving since then? How do you see the rehabilitation of the place here, Al Karitleya, since then? The care for this place, the restoration efforts.
Yes. Now, the restoration inside the house, before that, there is many rooms has restoration in the ceiling of in the summer room, restoration in its roof. And now we celebrate, in celebration hall, we now do also restoration in the roof of celebration hall. Yes. There is many restoration inside the house.
Where we are sitting now, this area is called El Patio in ancient Egyptian, Ottoman and Mamluk houses.
Open court.
Very Islamic, very Arabian,
Yes.
and it was even taken to Spain during the Arabs stay over 800 years in Spain. So
Yes.
many houses in Spain still have
Yes.
this patio. Tell us more about it.
Type, as you see, this fountain, modern. Gary Anderson put this fountain inside the house. But anybody, any house returned to Islamic or Ottoman period must be open court. Open court. You can see your children here. If you in Haramlik room, you can see your guest if they came from this way, and your children if they play here. Okay, and also these two windows, you can see these two windows. About this open court, they can enter the light and the air inside the summer room, Haramlik room.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are designed as mashrabiyya or arabesques to allow women
Yes.
to have some privacy.
Special
They
and,
won't be seen by anyone outside, but
Yes.
they can see anyone
You
outside.
you can open your window in your house, such like that, and all like that. But we open our mashrabiyya like that.
Yes.
Anybody, she can see anybody in the street, but anybody cannot see her because as privacy.
And I guess we can see this beautiful architectural design and the open space since the Umayyad era, because as Hala said, this went to Spain, to Andalusia. So and you can see that in countries like Syria or Palestine,
Yes.
or Lebanon, in the Levant in general, this
They
is
have
the
the same-
design. Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
So
same design.
didn't this originate from the Umayyad pair? Al-Amawiyin from
And
the
I don't know that.
Okay.
You can ask his question.
Okay. Okay.
I want to ask about the accessories of the doors. Are these the original accessories
all the
of the door
accessories called-
since it was built?
It's called Shamsa. We can see
Shamsa.
Shamsa in Islamic. Yeah. We call it with Shamsa. In the library, in the first house, we can see Shamsa as a lion, as a face of lion. For men, you can hear a strong voice. Then I know that he knocked. Was the man who knocked of the door. But if you can see the small Shamsa, you see and knocked, you can hear a small noise. Then women who knocked the door.
And there is the bell over there also, and it's, I guess, made of copper, the big one over there.
This bell? No, this bell when the cock finished the meal to Geir Anderson, he can knock on this bell, and the other servant can hear the noise, and this elevator can put the cock inside this elevator or dumbwaiter to Geir Anderson. He can take his lunch or his dinner inside his room, his virgin room.
Do you get student visitors from schools, from universities, because that's very important to raise the awareness of our youth to the great culture and heritage
Yes.
they have. So do you get enough
Yes, I
visits from
organize it.
schools and-
I
Yeah.
organize many tours to the students, normal or student with disability inside the museum. They can take their tour inside the museum. Then we can make workshops with them, and we can also make to them the exhibition to them, the famous pictures to them, and make exhibition to them.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Mrs. Ibtesam,
Thank
for
you very
being
much.
with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving to a special report about the Guy Anderson Museum with our colleague Shuruq Bakir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us.